Have you ever wondered if that shiny AI button on your new phone is actually the future of mobile tech, or is it just another gimmick that's destined for the dustbin of forgotten features? Well, stick around because by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal why the answer might be more complicated than any phone maker wants to admit. I'm Jason Howell, Android fan since the beginning, and I'm witnessing a trend right now that feels pretty familiar. If you've checked out the latest phones from Motorola, Nothing, or OnePlus, you'll notice a new physical button on the side. Often, it even looks different from the rest of the buttons on the phone, so it stands out. It's not for power, it's not for volume, not even for toggling silent mode. It's for artificial intelligence. Motorola has the Moto AI key. Nothing calls theirs the Essential key. And OnePlus just announced it's replacing its signature alert slider with a customizable AI button called the Plus key. And even if there's no dedicated button, many Android phones like Pixels and Samsung's Galaxy devices let you summon Gemini just by holding down the power button. And Apple also sticks with the long press on the power button for Siri. So no matter what, AI is one button press away. But here's the thing. Dedicated buttons for digital assistants are nothing new. They've been around for years, just not always with the AI label. So why don't we go back in time, shall we? Dedicated assistant triggers go back to at least 2017 when Samsung launched the Galaxy S8 with a physical Bixby button. The idea was simple. You just press the button, talk to Bixby on your phone, and get things done. But it didn't go so well. Bixby wasn't as capable as Google Assistant, and the button often got in the way. Not only that, users complained about accidental presses, and ultimately Samsung eventually relented and let people disable or remap it altogether. And other brands tried their own takes as well. LG included an assistant button on the G7 ThinQ in 2018. Nokia did the same on the Nokia 3.2 and 4.2 in 2019. In fact, it was kind of a thing in 2019. Google even announced at Mobile World Congress that 100 million smartphones, including models from Xiaomi, TCL, and Vivo, would hit the market with a dedicated assistant button by the end of the year. A few years prior to that, Google actually took a completely different approach with the Pixel 2 and Pixel 3. You could squeeze the phone to launch Assistant. That was a feature called Active Edge. And in fact, credit where it's due, HTC did this first with the HTC U11 and its fancy squeeze feature called Edge Sense. Nowadays, it's much more common that holding the power button brings up the AI assistant instead of the power off menu. That's a change that honestly, I'm still getting used to many years later. And so the lesson? AI assistant buttons and shortcuts have always been a bit controversial, sometimes useful, but often they just kind of got in the way. So why did so many of these buttons disappear or get redesigned? Well, it's simple. Most people didn't use them enough to justify a whole extra button. The Bixby button was often ridiculed for giving valuable real estate to a feature many users just simply refused to use. Google's Active Edge, that squeeze feature, was quietly retired after 3 Pixel generations. And even Apple, which pioneered modern voice assistants with Siri, starting with the iPhone 4S back in 2011, never added a dedicated AI button. Instead, they doubled down on voice control and, you guessed it, power button integration. But here's the core issue. Unless the feature behind the button is truly indispensable, the hardware just kind of feels like clutter, like bloatware. And if the masses are demanding the ability to customize that fancy AI button, well, then you know you've got a stinker on your hands. So what does all this mean for the modern trend of AI buttons? Well, I'm gonna tell you all about it, but first, real quick, if you'd like historical looks into the smartphone world like this, hit that like button, please, and better yet, subscribe, and I'll do even more of them. Thank you. All right, so now let's fast forward to 2025, the year of everything is AI. And you may have noticed that we're seeing a new wave of AI buttons, but these aren't just for launching a simple voice assistant. Now they're gateways to what I would call a suite of generative and contextually aware tools. Those buttons can summarize notifications, transcribe conversations, save and sort on-screen content, and a whole lot more. And the promises being made about these AI buttons are bigger than ever. Now the button isn't just a shortcut. These companies want you to see it as a portal to a smarter, more proactive phone. So then let's break down how a few recent smartphones are doing this. First, there's the Nothing Phone 3A, a smartphone that I actually rated pretty highly in my review earlier this year, and the Essential Key, which is a new dedicated AI button that lets you instantly capture what's on your screen. You can record voice notes, even from the lock screen, which is really handy, or open the Essential Space app where it's all kept and organized for you. See, Essential Space actually acts like an AI-powered memory bank for all your screenshots, your notes, photos, voice memos. The AI organizes and summarizes your content and can even manage reminders on the go with useful notifications. I have to say, I grew to really love how easy it was to fire off a voice memo when inspiration struck me. Then we have the new Motorola Razr, also the Moto Edge 2025, which both feature a dedicated AI key that brings up Moto AI. And there, you're offered a suite of features like Catch Me Up for handy notification summaries, Pay Attention for audio recordings and transcription, and then Remember This for saving info from photos and screenshots. They've even added generative image functionality into that button, as well as playlist creation, which, let's be honest, feels a bit less productivity focused and more kitchen sink focused. And most recently, OnePlus is now replacing its critically beloved alert slider, which I have right here, that's offered a 3-position switch for sound and vibration profiles on its phones. That's been there for years, now replacing it with a customizable plus key. You can still use that button for alerts, but OnePlus really wants you to launch their new AI Plus Mind feature. You press that button to save whatever's on your screen to a mind space where the AI organizes, extracts details, makes everything searchable with natural language. And it's not just about phones either, right? The past year we saw startups trying to build entirely new AI gadgets that reject the need for smartphones altogether. There's the Rabbit R1, this cute orange pocket-sized device that's designed to be a voice-first AI companion, and it promised to do everything your phone could do, but better. But the reality? It flopped. Reviewers found it slow, inaccurate, and less useful than a smartphone. Heck, my friend Mishal Rahman discovered that all it really was underneath was an Android app anyway, so why carry a separate device when your phone already does all of this and more? And who could forget the historic flop, the Humane AI Pin, a wearable, screenless AI assistant that you clip to your shirt. It can answer questions, make calls, and project a display onto your hand for some reason. In practice, it was slow, unreliable, and expensive. And most people really didn't see the point. That includes Marques Brownlee, who called it the worst product he's ever reviewed. And I'd say that's saying something. And now OpenAI has announced its acquisition of legendary iPhone designer Jony Ive's AI hardware company to build a new generation of AI-powered devices. These devices that notably don't exist in any way yet are expected to be screenless companions that aim to go beyond what phones can do. The first product there is expected sometime in late 2026, but really details are pretty scarce. The ambition is clear: create hardware that makes AI feel as natural and essential as an iPhone once did. But up until now, we've had a few hardware flops and empty promises about creating the next big thing. Oh, and a whole lot of skepticism. And that same skepticism goes for dedicated AI buttons on smartphones. And to that end, here's the big question in all of this. Do people really want a dedicated button for AI? Do they care about all that AI on their smartphone, or is this just another feature that phone makers think users want? Well, according to a recent CNET survey, only 18% of US adults say AI integrations are their main motivator for upgrading their phone, beat out by long battery life, more storage, and better cameras. Many of these AI features might someday carry a cost as well, and the CNET study shows the wide majority of users wouldn't even pay for them if they did. But there is at least some evidence of enthusiasm. In a Kantar study, 25% of Galaxy S24 buyers said AI was a key reason for their purchase, even if only 6% of total smartphone buyers agreed. Okay, so maybe a sliver of enthusiasm. And there's also evidence that AI features are starting to influence upgrade cycles, with more people trading in older phones to get the latest AI-enabled models. But for most, AI is just one consideration among many. And that right there is the crux of it all right now. AI buttons have real potential. Features like instant screen capture, voice notes, and notification summaries can be genuinely helpful, especially when they're one tap away. But the temptation, and I've seen it many times, is always to cram every possible AI feature into that one button. Transcription, translation, generative art, playlist creation, the kitchen sink, you name it. The result? Clutter, confusion, and a feature set that nobody really fully understands. And again, we've seen this before. When Google Assistant rolled out third-party actions, you may remember, it could eventually do a million things, but most people only ever discovered or even used a fraction of them. That glut of capabilities led to confusion and ultimately apathy. If phone makers aren't careful, the AI button could meet a similar fate. Now, the best implementations, like Nothing's Essential Key, keep it simple. They focus on the handful of things users actually want to do quickly, like save a thought, record a meeting, set a reminder. But even then, putting it behind a steep paywall, which is rumored, is almost guaranteed to turn people away if they still have no clue why they should be paying for it in the first place. If, however, companies keep the feature set tight, high quality, and free, that button might actually earn its place. But if it becomes a dumping ground for every half-baked AI experiment with a steep price tag attached, it'll just be the next Bixby button, ignored, disabled, and eventually remapped. So what about you? Do you want a dedicated AI button on your phone? Would you use it? Or is this just another passing trend destined to be replaced by the next big thing? Well, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and let me know. And subscribe while you're at it. I am genuinely curious to hear where you stand on this, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.